Driver abuse has been going on in trucking for a really long time. But when you think about what happens to some of the women, it's stunning that people will continue to let it go on and not do anything about it and take advantage of them further. Some of the older women, they know all of this stuff, and I saw a comment this morning on these YouTubes where somebody said, I always wanted to do this. There is a lot of women out here that want to help other women, but the nature of this job is isolated, it's time consuming, you're exhausted when you get done, and there's just simply not enough hours in the day to do everything. I virtually have had no life for going on 3 years, just trying to get this story out to people that are innocent, that just have the best intentions, and they don't need to get hurt. There is a shortage of women trainers. The reason there's a shortage of women trainers is because it's really hard to train. It's really hard to train women because of the attitude, and the pay is really not worth it. I mean, your trainer's basically risking their life to take you. So if you got an attitude, if you cannot get over your own personal fears, or you're gonna be difficult, being in training is no time to be difficult. On the other hand, if you have a trainer that's doing something to abuse you, if your trainer is drinking, doing drugs, trying to get you to break the law, to get you to incriminate yourself, badgering you for sex, trying to force you to have sex, or doing other abusive things like leaving you, making you sit outside, and there's a reason why there's a shortage of women trainers. And there's starting to be a shortage of men trainers because a lot of them have gotten in trouble for some of the stuff that's gone on in the past. And it's not isolated to men. Women take advantage of students also. So most of what I say is for entry-level CDL students. This does not apply when I'm talking about goofing off with guys to some woman that has been driving since she was a teenager and her dad taught her, and she's never had to go to a carrier where there's a lot of driver abuse, and that's where students get trained. And there's a bunch of predators that are trainers because hell, why not? You know, what a great way to get laid, holding somebody hostage on a truck. It does not apply to that. You cannot get trained by your dad anymore. Your dad might be able to teach you how to drive it, but you're not going to be able to get the qualified experience to be considered an experienced driver. So it's a totally different ball game. And veteran drivers, you should understand that, because this is your competition. And the difference that you should know right away about trucking is people in the trucking industry and truck drivers are not on the same page. Like I said before, many people in the industry have never driven a truck, nor do they think they have to, nor could they, nor would they be able to withstand the lifestyle it takes to do it. So make sure you know this. If they say, oh, I'm part of the industry, then you should say, oh, did you ever drive a truck? Oh, no, never. I just write about it. Well, you know, like if I was going to have a baby, I would ask somebody that had a baby. And if I was going to be a doctor, I would learn from somebody that knows how to be a doctor, not from somebody that knows how to make pancakes. You know, come on. Like, what am I, dumb? So, the drivers and the industry are nothing, no. And they like to, you know, you have these people that are like, I'm in the trucking industry. It's like, to me, it's like going to the yacht club and seeing all these ladies dressed up like bikers going, we're biker chicks. But they're not really biker chicks. I have a couple posts over on Real Women in Trucking that I would like for you to check out. One is called Wild West Women. The reason that I wrote that one is because we have a lot of women who are emerging in politics and as advocates, as leaders to women right now. They don't represent me. I don't know if they represent you, but some of them don't represent me. Maybe you like Hillary Clinton. Maybe you like Sarah Palin. Maybe you don't like either. But I'll tell you what, if you don't stand up and say something, one of them is going to represent you. And I see the same thing in trucking. And there are some people trying to represent women truckers, or number one, aren't women truckers, have said some very, very poor, thought out things about women truckers. Do not socialize with women truckers unless they can control the message those women are putting out on their behalf. And probably the most disturbing is that they have covered up abuse that has happened to women truckers. Yet, were it not for women truckers to use the phrase women in trucking, they wouldn't have a job. So, this is a time for people to stand up and speak up and realize somebody's going to represent you that's not really representing you. And we're all going to be in a heap of trouble because there's several television shows coming out about women truckers. And it's going to look like cheerleading camp out here unless you stand up and speak up and take charge of the situation. Who's going to pay for it? People in the industry? Hell no. They're going to be partying it up in Las Vegas, bed hopping. And you're going to be out here dealing with the mess. And that includes the HR departments who have to hear about all of this stuff. Wild West Women is about how women judge each other and how some of the first women to come out to the Wild West were prostitutes. They follow the money. And that's the same thing that happened in trucking. And that's why a lot of women don't want new women out here, because they think that they still are doing that. And some are. Some men want to be civilized, just like in the Wild West. And they brought their wives out west. And then what their wives do? Their wives cleaned up the town, built a church, made them take a bath, be home for dinner. And they liked it. They didn't get to stay out all night and blow their gun off and drink whiskey anymore and not take a bath for 25 days. But the West got civilized. The Indians might not think that, but you know, that's the evolution. When you bring women, you're staying. So I wrote Wild West Women because the fighting of the women that were there before and the women that came after, that's what's holding women back, is all this fighting, you know, all this moral judgment and, you know, well, she, you know, whatever, who cares, okay? Women are the last minority, not because of men, but because of women. I mean, the gay men have more rights than women. And you know why? Because they're educated and they have a lot of money. Why don't women? Because they always want to fight with each other and they don't stick up for each other. In trucking, when you go to a carrier and you have like 100 students, you're going to notice that all the races go to each other. This is the same thing that happens if you watch prison documentaries. People who grew up on different sides of the country will gravitate to people of their own race, and they will stick together and they will help each other out. And women don't do that. They throw each other under the bus, they judge each other, they get involved in everybody's personal love life. It's none of your effing business. And they can't mind their own business. If you come out here to truck, you're here to drive the truck. Drive the truck. Okay? The other problem is, if two men are driving together as a team and one of them got lucky, the other one's fine to go take a walk around the block. Now, women have all of these moral high ground, even though they're like the biggest, you know, whatever. You know, so those are things that women need to work out. I wrote Wild West Women and I used a stagecoach driver by the name of Charlie Parkhurst. Charlie was a stagecoach driver. One-Eyed Charlie was his name. When he died, it turned out Charlie was a woman. No one ever knew that till he died. It's a really interesting story. It's a very interesting story because Charlie was a really tough cookie. But how would she have been treated if people knew she was really a girl? You have to protect yourself when you're in a male-dominated environment, and anybody that wants to try to dispute that is a dumbass.